Mythbuster Mechanics, where we pick out that special little something inside every video game and explain why that little something is special and unique. Today, we're going to talk about sequels, or more specifically, the difference between a good sequel and a bad sequel. Now, usually when you're making a sequel, you want to take the original and use it as a jumping off point. You want to take the ideas from the original and expand on them while still keeping things familiar. Now, there are plenty of sequels I could think of that are good sequels, that everyone knows they're good sequels, like Mega Man 2, Halo 2, Silent Hill 2, you know. However, today we're going to talk about Castlevania Bloodlines and how it stacks up against its more popular predecessor, Super Castlevania IV. Coming off the heels of Simon's Quest and Dracula's Curse, Super Castlevania IV had a lot to prove. Simon's Quest had left people wondering what direction the series was going in, while Dracula's Curse reassured everyone that they were going to focus on what made Castlevania great in the first place. As such, the anticipation for Super Castlevania IV was high, and once the game came out, it seemed like it was meeting all expectations. However, the truth of the matter was, Super Castlevania IV had some missteps at some point in its development cycle, and most of these revolved around both the game design and the level design. Now, if you guys want to watch a more in-depth analysis regarding the missteps that Super Castlevania IV took, go check out Egoraptor's Sequelitis video on it. It's actually very thorough, and explains not just what problems the game has, but why these problems are so important. If you guys don't want to watch it, well, let me try and summarize the problems with this game. The gameplay for Super Castlevania IV was praised for having tighter controls, including a more precise jump and a multi-directional whip. However, the level design wasn't changed to compensate, making the special weapons useless and the entire game way too easy. Let me make this clear though, this does not make Super Castlevania IV a bad game. What it makes it is a bad sequel, because instead of expanding on the ideas of the original, it retread the same ground and even took away some of the elements that made the original great. So, why am I talking so much about Super Castlevania IV right now? Well, because I want to make it clear just what constitutes a good sequel and what doesn't. A good sequel requires a good understanding of what made the original great, so as to be able to expand on it and make something better without sacrificing the original appeal. However, Super Castlevania IV was made with no understanding for the original, which led to unintentionally sloppy design by way of improvements to the gameplay that took away from the original experience. Castlevania Bloodlines for the Sega Genesis, however, is a good example of what Super Castlevania IV should have been, and we're gonna talk about just why it's the perfect sequel. First off, let's talk about what Castlevania was known for before Symphony of the Night came along. This was a game series that was known for methodical level progression, progressively difficult gameplay, and an unmistakably gothic aesthetic. It's a very unforgiving game series, and not only has it made a lot of people rage quit, it's also stuck in the minds of others as a test of skill. It's infamous, it's unforgettable, and it's deserving of the title Nintendo Hard. And already you can probably see how making a Castlevania game easy is a bit of a problem. However, despite boasting a variety of changes, Castlevania Bloodlines makes it clear that it understands what made the original great. Not only does it bombard the player with unnaturally grotesque aesthetics, but it also gives the player a new story to experience, using the basis of Dracula's resurrection as inspiration for a new set of characters to get involved. From a narrative standpoint, this is a good example of expanding on the original. It doesn't just do the same thing again, instead it actually takes the original premise and asks itself, what other stories can we tell? The developers understood that they couldn't just change everything though, and as such, the two playable characters offered something for fans of the old and fans of the new. They did this by way of making one character a Simon Belmont clone with only one or two gameplay alterations, and making the other character the bearer of new gameplay mechanics, like a high jump and a longer range weapon. All the same, both characters have dedicated jump arcs, and both characters have obvious attack delays. Translation? Just like the original Castlevania, you are not in full control. As such, plan your attacks, make sure you have the right special weapon, and be careful. The game eases you into things by making the first level the ruins of Dracula's castle, complete with the level design being very similar to the original Castlevania's first level. However, once you beat the first level, the rest of the world opens up to you, and the realization that the game takes place outside the castle begins to sink in. Of course, Simon's Quest already established a precedence for the outside world, so that's not a very shocking realization. However, between the main villain not being Dracula, the game world opening up to different locales, and the game design harkening back to what made players enjoy the first game, the game has become something more, something that sparks the player's imagination. Suddenly, the world of Castlevania has become an expanded universe. Suddenly, the idea of writing different stories in the world of Castlevania doesn't seem that impossible. And suddenly, you can make a successful Castlevania game that doesn't have to retread the same ground to invoke the original appeal. Castlevania is not a story about a guy with a whip fighting Dracula. Castlevania is a story about fighting the forces of darkness, no matter who, what, where, or when they manifest themselves. Hey there, thanks for watching. As always, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. If you want to check out more videos, check out the annotations above. And if you want to follow me on social media, check out my Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr accounts in the description below. Anyway, see you guys later.